What is the occupancy allowed, and what is the occupancy that you will need to run your F&B business department very profitably? Does the occupancy that you have been told to keep take into account what's profitable for you? Yes or no? And how do you deal then with the social distancing after all?
Well, the social distance is something which is as well established for law at the moment, even if sometimes you see 1.5 meters, sometimes 2 meters. Anyway, let's say that is 1.5 meters, and what you do is, of course, to arrange your table setup according to the law. I want as well to highlight another thing regarding the occupancy of the restaurant, because I saw many people complaining about the 30%, 40%, 50%, 60%. We need to have a look as well. First of all, have a look to your historical statistic. Have you run your restaurant never at 100%? I mean, your average occupancy was 100%, was 90, was 80, was 70, or maybe it was already 50%, and you're complaining for something which you don't need to complain about. I mean, especially in a hotel restaurant, sometimes we don't run at 100%. We don't run at 80%. Sometimes if we are lucky, we run at 60%. I'm speaking about in average. I'm not speaking about the peak time. I know that in the peak time, of course, if I take the terrace restaurant, which is our restaurant working really great in the summertime, of course, during the Saturday and Sunday, we are 100%. But what about Monday? What about Tuesday? What about the other day of the week? We are never at 100%. So first of all, we need to have a look at our statistic. We now need to, let's say, extend your operating time in order to duplicate the 50%, because maybe you can do the same number of covers, but of course you can do it in a larger time operating your restaurant. And maybe you can recover in this way the level of occupancy that you were expecting. Of course, you will have in this case more operational costs, because you need to pay the employee working there for a longer time. So first step for me is to have a look to your historical statistic. Make sure that the social distance is respected. Just make sure that all the regulations are followed as well, and go ahead with this. Otherwise, then is to have a look to how you can operate it. I mean, where you can reduce costs. And if you can reduce costs, if you cannot reduce costs, maybe it's better to leave it closed until then there is the opportunity to open it.
Definitely looking at occupancy can help us eventually, even if the demand is very hard to forecast. I think that's still a way we need to go. And when we talk about occupancy, I think another big topic is price, because if you look at, Oaky is a tool for revenue management. And when we talk about revenue management, occupancy and price are the big KPI. So you can apply revenue management also to F&B, of course. Do you see revenue management for F&B and pricing changing a lot to eventually help out as the occupancy will be so low? Translated, are prices going to go up? Are they not? Or are you eventually change the way you price things? Have a more dynamic price for breakfast or other offers in your menu, etc., for your tables, because maybe you have the tables displayed differently. Is it something you're considering, or you've heard about something related to this?
I'm considering it. It's to find a balance. I mean, this one is, of course, it's just my opinion. As told before, if you work just with the domestic guests, they are more price sensitive than the international luxury guests. So then you need to work a little bit in your price as well. Maybe you need to go a little bit down. At the same time, you do want, especially if I see now to the room division, let's say you will not sell the room even if you sell it at 150 euros or 200 euros if there is no demand. I mean, no need to go down with the price if there is no market for this. For F&B could be a little bit different, because you can operate your restaurant for, let's say, as well, local guests to come in. At the same time, you have another problem as well. Your operational costs are increasing because you need to have the gel for each one coming. You need to have the mask for each one coming. As I told you before, if you are enlarging as well, you're extending as well your operating time, you need to pay the payroll for this. So what will be the same? I think that the price will be kept more or less the same. but your margin will be lower. Your operational margin will be lower because you have a more operational cost. I will not suggest to start a price war in this case. Always to try to differentiate yourself from the competition, to offer something which is different from the other one. Even if, to be honest with you, of course, if you see that this strategy is not working, maybe you need to lower a little bit down the prices.